Hello, everyone. Ex-Wallkill Bethelite here. And Bethel is now the worst career move anybody can make because Bethel uses people for free labor. And then after that, they dump them in an economy with no money where the cost of living is as high as it has ever been. The cost of housing and even cars nowadays are through the roof. When Bethel puts people out after using them for years for free labor, they are guaranteed, based off the way the economy is. You got apartments that are $1,000 and above in some places. When Bethel, after using someone for free labor for years, decides to put that person out for whatever reason, whether it be they're selling buildings or whatever the reason for that, they are guaranteed to be making that person homeless unless maybe a relative or friend intervenes in what Bethel is doing. Let me say that again. Bethel would be making the person homeless when they decide to let a Bethelite go, whether they're downsizing or whatever. In this economy, it's about guaranteed. Bethel makes people homeless unless a friend, a relative, or somebody intervenes and stops Bethel from making them homeless by giving the person a place to stay. Watchtower likes to use the excuse that people volunteer to work at Bethel. However, using people as long-term free labor is still unethical. With the way our economy is today, you can't find an excuse for using people for free labor long-term. For example, Jehovah's Witnesses would not want to sell cigarettes even though the customer is voluntarily purchasing them, because they know that in the long run, cigarettes are a bad decision health-wise. And so Jehovah's Witnesses view it as unethical to sell them cigarettes even if the individual is voluntarily buying them. It doesn't matter that they're volunteering to get the cigarettes. It's still unethical. It doesn't matter that a person is volunteering to go to Bethel. It's still unethical to use them as free labor and then put them out in an economy where everything costs an arm and a leg. Well, when you think about it, using people like Bethel does, and then putting them out where they won't be able to afford a house, definitely not a house, or most apartments, or even the fee it costs to apply to get an apartment. Yes, nowadays, people have to pay sometimes $50 or more just to apply to get an apartment. And it's not even a guarantee that they can get the apartment. Now, what if the person, after leaving Bethel, A lot of Brooklynites don't have cars. I mean, it's pretty well known. A lot of people from Brooklyn don't have cars. Well, if the person doesn't have a car and Bethel decides, oh, well, we'll send them off to the field or however they want to word it, how is this person going to get a job if the person doesn't have a car? Bethel's been using them for free labor, so the person can't afford to get a car to be able to get a job. You're going to have Bethelites relying on buses and bus fare in order to get a job, unless, again, somebody intervenes and stops Bethel from making people homeless and gives that person a ride to get to work. It is obviously unethical for Jehovah's Witnesses to be using free labor and putting people out after using that free labor whenever they want. Bethel knows it's not in people's best interest to work for free at a facility that can put them out on the street when the cost of housing is probably, and cars, is probably at an all-time high in a lot of places. Now let's talk a little bit about health care. Is Bethel going to cover the Bethelites' doctor's visits and dental appointments and optical, if they need glasses or contacts or need to get more glasses? Is Bethel going to cover that cost in between the time a person is told they got to leave Bethel and until they are able to get a job and that job have health care? Absolutely not. Bethel's not going to pay for that brother's doctor's appointments or dental appointments. As far as Bethel is concerned, you just don't go to no doctor until you find yourself a job. Bethel doesn't care. Again, why this is the worst possible career move a person could actually make. What if you get injured at Bethel and they decide to ask you to leave? And you could have gotten injured for whatever reason. Could have been out playing sports, could have been at your job or assignment. And Bethel asks you to leave. How are you going to get another job if you are injured and can't pass a physical? And heaven forbid you criticize Bethel for using you for free labor for years and then tossing you out on the street. Because then if you were to do that, you'd get shunned. Not only would you be shunned, but you'd be shunned and injured with no health insurance and no job, and very possibly no car. Does this sound like a good career path for anybody you know? And hey, I can speak from experience, being a former Bethelite. Jehovah's Witnesses won't even make sure your car is ready for the trip when they expect you to drive all the way back to wherever it is you decide to go. They don't care where you go. They just want you to leave. But they're not going to make sure your car is safe to drive whatever distance that is. You may plan to go back to where you used to live. Maybe your parents' house. Maybe your parents will allow you to not be homeless because of Bethel and let you stay with them. Well, if you have like a 17-hour drive ahead of you, wouldn't you want your car? Wouldn't you want to make sure your car will actually make that trip, especially since you don't have any money working for free for Bethel for all those years? Bethel ain't checking your tires for you. Oh, I know. I was in a car with boxes piled all the way up to about the roof of the car, with Bethel telling me, well, hey, we're selling all these buildings in Brooklyn and building at Warwick. Until then, we got to let y'all go. They're not checking your tires to make sure your tires are ready for a long trip. They're not going to do a quick pre-trip inspection of the vehicle, even though they have an auto shop right there at Bethel. They could care less. They're not going to give your car a quick pre-trip inspection. In my case, they ain't even going to make sure you got anything to eat or drink for the trip. And they don't care how far it is. You're just going to be in a car and hope that car's got some air conditioning and the like. Bethel is the worst career move you can make. In fact, Bethel is a trigger word for Jehovah's Witnesses. And this trigger word causes them to lose all common sense. Meaning that when Bethel decides to get rid of a Bethelite, instead of being surrounded by this loving brotherhood, looking to help him or her find a job, the former Bethelite is surrounded by religious fanatics that think Jehovah has a heavenly job recruitment agency floating in the sky, and Jehovah will go get you a job if you've been told to leave Bethel. Jehovah handle it. Just come out with us and go door to door out in field service, or stand next to a cart. Jehovah find you a job with that heavenly job recruitment agency he's got floating in the sky somewhere. Fanatics. Total, complete religious fanatics is what this now unemployed ex-Bethelite is surrounded by. Jehovah's Witnesses, literally, have the same thinking ability as an empty bottle of Tony Morris's liquor. These people really believe God is working on getting this person a job. And all they got to do is go out in field service, knock on doors, and it's just going to magically appear. Because if you really think about it, if Jehovah was finding Bethelites jobs, wouldn't Jehovah use his quote-unquote earthly organization to help them out? Meaning Bethel would have a job placement agency if Jehovah was finding Bethelites jobs. As ridiculous as that sounds, this is truly how Jehovah's Witnesses think. It really is. I can tell you from personal experience. Also, think about this. As to the reason why Bethel is the worst possible career move you can ever pick. How exactly does a Bethelite get married when Bethel decides not to accept the couple into Bethel? You go into Bethel as a young, single 19-year-old. decide maybe when you're 24 or 25, you want to get married. Well, how does that work? You have to apply again as a couple. A lot of times Bethel does not accept the couple. So the Bethel brother has spent years working for free. Where does the engagement ring money come from? Is this sister expected to purchase her own engagement ring? Keep in mind, she ain't getting accepted to Bethel, so she's not getting that. Where's the money for anything else coming from? Now, the brother, obviously, not having any money, he don't have a paying job. He's got the worst career you can ever have working at Bethel, and he's got no place of his own to live. Is the sister supposed to provide the roof over their heads also, in addition to her own engagement ring? Don't Jehovah's Witnesses say that the man is the head of the house and should provide for the woman? Isn't that what Jehovah's Witnesses teach? Well, how is that even possible if Bethel denies the brother's fiance and now they need a place to live? It makes absolutely, positively no sense for Bethel to use young people for free labor. It's blatant and outright taking advantage of young people who have not thought their future out yet. And they don't know what they would do in the situation where they decide to get married in the future and they ain't got no money. Bethel takes advantage of the fact that young people hadn't thought that far. And they use young people for free labor and could care less what happens to them afterwards. Jehovah's Witnesses have been exploiting young people and youths, not just with the pedophilia and sex abuse, but also with Bethel for years, using them as free labor. Now, with Bethel being the worst possible career move a person could possibly make in the year 2023 and beyond, with the cost of living, and you can't just end up leaving Bethel with no money, no house, who knows what condition your car's in, if you even have one. That just can't happen. You're basically homeless. That ain't a good career. A career path to homelessness is not a good career. A young person could get a job as a trucker and it would be better. And you would get to travel and see different cities. You can travel through New York, see the Big Apple. And when you decide to get married, you got some money in your pocket. Bethel, the headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, is the absolute worst career choice because, according to Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah can't afford to pay even minimum wage. I mean, according to Jehovah's Witnesses, Jehovah is the broke God that ain't got no money. Jehovah got a bunch of lint in his pocket and he can't afford to pay you. Does that sound like a good career? Jehovah is not using Bethel. Jehovah is not exploiting youths and young people. Jehovah has nothing to do with Bethel. Just because Watchtower puts the word Jehovah in their magazine doesn't all of a sudden mean Jehovah's using Bethel or Watchtower. Now, that's just not using people for free labor. The way the economy is now, that's just not a business model that I can see Jehovah's Witnesses maintaining in the future. It's over for them. They already basically don't have pioneers anymore. People can't keep up with the hours that for years have been required for pioneers. People can't afford to just leave high school and go right into full-time door knocking for Watchtower. It doesn't make sense in today's economy. People can't afford to spend years working for free, making no money, with no real income, and then be put out whenever Bethel wants. For whatever reason, Bethel doesn't have to have a reason. And now you find yourself with no money, no job, no house, no place to stay. And Bethel expects this expense to just be thrown on a person's family or thrown on some of your friends. With the way the economy is, your family may be struggling. Your friends may be struggling. Bethel doesn't care. Bethel will put their responsibility off on whoever all else. Your sick relatives, your sick mother, your sick father, uncles will have to then find room for you somewhere and take care of you while you find yourself a job. Does this sound like an honorable career path? 937-789-4029. We'll discuss it. X Walk Hill Bethelite signing out.